Hey, good morning, everybody. My name is Eric Bjorndorf, CEO of EVERNET Consulting. You're watching EVERNET Reviews, the show where we review or spotlight products and services that we see our clients use or could use. Today, we have Nick from Curricula, who's going to go over his Curricula Security Awareness Training Platform. Before we get started, if you haven't already, click like or subscribe on the video. And throughout the video, if you have any questions or you think we missed anything, feel free to leave a comment. How's it going, Nick?
Thanks for having me here, Eric.
Thanks for coming on. I know that we bounced around the scheduling a little bit, and we finally got something on the books. I'm excited to have you. I know that, I think anybody who's followed this series knows that I've been, I run an IT company and I was looking for a security training platform for my client base. And at the same time, kind of launching this marketing initiative and this YouTube channel. But I appreciate you coming out and showcasing Curricula.
Yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
So, Nick, tell me a little bit about you and who you are and who you are in Curricula.
Yeah. So I am actually the CEO and founder. So small business owner here. I started Curricula about 7 years ago. And the idea came from my previous work. I worked for the federal regulator for the power grid in North America. It's an agency called NERC. And they essentially help us keep the lights on in this entire country. And I did everything cybersecurity related, audits, investigations, advisor, you name it. And I kept seeing this problem that there was tens of millions of dollars being invested in cybersecurity appliances and antivirus and you name it. But when it came time to educating people about cybersecurity, it was a bunch of PowerPoints stuffed into an LMS. And I hope that works. I think that's going to work. And clearly it doesn't, right? So I thought to myself, man, what could we do to actually change the way that this industry perceives educational content on cybersecurity topics? More specifically, just for utilities, so electrical utilities. That's where Curricula was born. So from a regulator for really boring, rigid cybersecurity regulations and turned this into something fun. So I dumped my entire 401k and bootstrapped this thing for 5.5 years to get it to where it is. Lots of ups and downs, lots of heartaches, but I know all of the struggles that small business owners must go through to get their businesses to where they are. And then fast forward, we've kind of flipped the script into doing, hey, if we can make security training fun for everyone in the utility space, why not do it for everyone else? And over the years, we've evolved into kind of a storytelling platform that can provide security awareness and some other things that businesses need to have today. But more importantly, how do you keep them positively engaged? And I think that's something I want to cover in explicit detail about the difference of what Curricula does versus everyone else. And then in 2019, we did a small private equity round with the former founders from AppRiver that invested in Curricula. And then right when they sold to Zix Corporation. So they had an eye on us and they said the MSP community was something that they lived and breathed and love. And everyone who knows and worked with AppRiver knows that it was a tremendously supportive company to work with. They kind of had a hunch that the MSP community did not have an awesome answer when it came to security awareness training. It was slap a bunch of PowerPoints, put a phishing simulator, and then switch the logo out for all the dozens and dozens and dozens of companies that do the exact same thing. We are clearly dramatically different than every other company. So I'm happy to share that story today with you.
Yeah, definitely. So that tells us who you are. That tells us how Curricula was born. I'm kind of following a format here that I like to stick to for all these reviews. What would you say you answered? What problem Curricula solves specifically? Is that would you kind of say that the problem is filling in the gaps where other SAT products are lacking, or
Yeah. So we kind of look at this problem as it's very easy to just present training to someone. There's literally over 100 tools that do this exact same thing. Anyone could be a trainer, make a couple PowerPoints, and you're a trainer. You're a training company at that point. Well, we realized kind of two major issues that are happening in this world is, one, the tools that are available that are, being used by either a direct customer or a channel partner are becoming overly complex for no reason. Tons of buttons that collect digital dust that no one ever uses, that are just there to be there. So because of that, it's a little overwhelming and no one wants to use them, and they decide to not offer them. On the second side, the entire reason that we offer security awareness programs is to change long-term behaviors for the individual learners, the employees at our customer sites. We do not focus on that as a community, right? That's something that Curricula focuses on. But if you think deep down why these programs have never been successful in the past and why MSPs are embarrassed offering these programs, is because the training sucks and employees hate it.
Right.
And if the employees hate it and the training sucks and it's just a check the box activity, it's almost like buying an antivirus solution that doesn't prevent viruses. It's just ineffective. So who are we doing this song and dance for? So really where we kind of come in is we try to focus heavily on I don't care how many buttons this thing has, how many features it offers. If the employees that receive the training do not change their behaviors for the long term, this is completely ineffective.
There it is.
So
Okay.
that's the way we need to be thinking about this.
Got it. So you mentioned 100. I can concur and confirm that there are lots and lots of occupants in your space. I have a couple questions. First, who would you consider your top 3 competitors in the space?
So we really only see one. It's KnowBe4, right? I think whether you're in the channel or on the direct, which most of our business is on the direct side for the past 7 years, which is why you haven't seen Curricula until recently.
Got it. Okay.
But now we're molding into the channel space. And the channel is interesting because there is there's not a lot of loyalty to certain vendors, and there's a lot of diversity over the vendors that people choose. I think you mentioned one, Breach Secure Now, is one name that comes up all the time, but realistically, it's awesome because of that diversity. There's not just one vendor that's doing a lights out job of answering this problem for MSPs.
Yeah, I mean, in my, as I mentioned earlier, I did a deep assessment of what I found to be the bigger play, the top. I think I reviewed 12 products in the space, and yeah, I was really surprised that none of them checked all of the boxes that I was looking for, and I found that to be frustrating. Although it's kind of common. I mean, what software really checks everybody's box, right? So there's the olive branch. All right, so that pretty much covers it. And my last question before we get to a demo is what separates your product from the competition. I think you've made that pretty clear. Would you say?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is how do we get people to pay attention for the long haul? And how do we get them to change behaviors and talk about security in a more positive way? Mm-hmm. And traditionally, we look at users or how we talk about our employees at our endpoints, and it's not in a positive way, right? It's mostly angry, upsetting, and I hate them. And if we change that attitude towards finding products and services, especially on how we communicate with those people, we got to look at this from a different angle. So our approach to this entire experience is we actually use storytelling to communicate all of our training content to those employees, which is what the difference maker is. Tons of conversations around that, but that's the major difference, is that there's a cast of characters, of heroes and villains and stories, all developed by our in-house animation studio that bring this content to life, but more importantly, open up the minds and hearts of the employees that receive the content to actually make changes for the better.
Right. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Last question before we get to the demo. I run a business too, and training is important, and we have a training platform. One of our HR platforms that we use, Bamboo HR, has a training module. We like Bamboo HR as a nice platform to manage our our job roles and kind of the onboarding and intake of new employees and the management organization of that. The unfortunate thing, it doesn't have an assessment component to it. That led me to look for better training, general business training tools. And it occurred to me, because I was reviewing security training platforms for my clients and our internal use. It occurred to me, I really could use a training platform, a general training platform that I can curate some training internally that have both kind of a video asset and an assessment. How do you view? Well, first, I presume that you guys are just a security training platform, and if that's true, how do you feel you exist in a realm where you use the acronym LMS, learning management systems? How do
Mhm.
you fit in with kind of that broad market of LMS, learning management systems? And are you too narrow, or is there like a plan to expand? How do you reconcile that?
Yeah, so in 2020, when coronavirus happened, there was, a lot of people forced into remote work and remote
Exactly.
training and remote everything. So
Hmm.
our customers came to us during this time. They're like, "Listen, we love Curricula, it's basically an LMS, right? It tracks training and does all these things. We love Curricula. We love the Curricula originals that you produce, but we have to make some training on California chemical compliance. Can you make that?" It's like, hell no, we're not going to make. I don't know anything about that regulation. So, and it's not in our best interest to do that. So, what we did during this time is we actually created our content authoring kind of feature.
There it
And
is.
what that allows you to do is use the Curricula LMS, which is basically a way to track and produce training to employees, but use the tools that we actually do with our creative team, where they actually have a back end on how we make our episodes. And what we did is we exposed that tool to the front end to our customers to allow them to build and create any training on any topic they want, upload videos, add quizzes, text, images, whatever they want to do, and put that inside the same engine while looking like Curricula designed it for them. So you can grab
Wow.
our backgrounds and our characters and animated GIFs and all these fun little assets that we produce, put some guardrails on it so it doesn't look like shit when you actually deliver it to your employees. And it lets it be not only under one roof, so you don't have to go buy another LMS, but it keeps the messaging consistent as if it's coming from one voice, one design, one brand.
I completely did not expect you to say that. That was my question and inquiry was completely organic,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I did not expect that was an available feature in Curricula.
Huge.
So yeah, that's cool. Exciting. Well, without further ado, are you prepared to give us an actual demonstration? One of the values I think that these reviews are their actual technical demonstrations of products. So are you prepared for that?
Let's do it. I got the
All right, I'm going to
screen up
give
right
you a
now.
screen share. So let's go. How about that? There you go. Let me pull off our banner here. All right, the screen is yours. Take us from the top.
Looking good. All right. So you can sign up on our website here, curricula.com/partners. And this is where you can kind of get a feel for what the program's like. But once you get it, you'll get a free account. And the account lets you explore the MSP channel dashboard that Curricula has. So this is what that dashboard looks like. So I'm going to hop into kind of a couple things here and just show you a little tour of what the platform can do and how the dashboard looks. But for the most part, once you sign up, you're going to get a Sandbox account. And the Sandbox account lets you essentially play around with everything. It lets you jump in here, lets you kind of mess around with things, see how our kind of platform runs and operates. But more importantly, it lets you explore our library. And think of the library as kind of like the app store of what Curricula can do. You could explore all of our Curricula original episodes, our phishing scenarios. Here you can create that custom content that we're talking about. And then you can access all of our print-ready security awareness posters and downloads that tie back together to the episodes. Just at a glance, kind of how we work with episodes. We have an in-house animation studio that produces all of these. So there is an incredible amount of work that goes into a 6-minute episode. Typically takes about 3 months to make one episode with
Wow.
this team. It is absolutely lights out some of the best content in this entire industry. You can ask anyone about Curricula that has experienced it. We just let the product sell itself, right? I don't have to sell anyone on it. Just go watch it. And you can see the amount of effort and details and even the Easter eggs that go into this stuff. But
Wow.
tons
So
of topics.
what's your release schedule?
It's all over the place. Depends. So we have like compliance stuff. We have our regular episodes. So then we have the phishing simulations. So I'd say probably we launch anywhere from 4 to 6 new episodes per year, mostly focused on just general topics, but then also some compliance ones like GDPR. We have a SOC 2 episode that's free for everyone to use. So I'll talk a little bit more about how you can get access to all these. So tons of episodes. I think we got 27 in the library here, and then we add, like I said, 4 to 6 a year on top of that. And then there's some other upgrades like PCI and things that you can do later on. So that's our episode library. The custom content library. Let me see if this one even has it. So this one's kind of cool. If I want to create custom content, every account gets to do that. So you get to come in here and at least try what it's like to create content. If you want to make unlimited content, you can upgrade to a paid plan. But this is one thing that we're going to be working on for our channel partners, is allowing them to basically create their own library of content and then push that content down to their sub accounts within the platform. Not available today, but it's coming soon.
Will the characterization and the design language that Curricula uses for its video assets, will that be mandatory for the custom content, or will the partner be able to just use any, like a YouTube or Vimeo hosted video asset, or what's the plan there?
Yeah, you could just do blank slate. You could do anything you want. So you just basically start with a blank piece of paper here. This one's got like videos and I think a couple things, but if I were to go make whatever I want, I can add, a slide here, and let's call it like new training.
And that's a static image, it looks like.
Yep. So everything's on the fly. I can grab like characters and like all kinds of stuff to just go into this. Background images. I could, use our content library here.
Right.
Just like whatever you want to kind of bring it to life. But, all these assets are available. So I can make, little things here. I can upload videos. I could add quiz questions in here.
Well, let me just ask you about the video. So is the video that would be added to a custom content like this, are you hosting it, or is it a frame of a hosted video on YouTube or Vimeo?
So both. So by native, we actually have our content delivery network. So once you upload a video, we transcode that video into all the different streamable formats. We also do translations for all of our videos for subtitles for multi-language, and our web content is translated on the fly through some AWS AI translation stuff. Not the best, but it gets you like 70% of the way there, which is kind of expected in the translation industry.
Okay.
But then we're also adding external link blocks. So you'll be able to have a new block here shortly that'll allow you to link to anything else like YouTube videos, Vimeo, policies, procedures, websites, whatever you want, and include that as part of your custom training package.
Yeah, because I could just imagine a company has a bunch of video assets hosted in kind of unpublished form on their YouTube channel, maybe, and if they could just bring those in an iframe in your platform, that might lend itself.
Yep. So you can, natively upload some of these and then add closed captionings to them. So we just host all of this stuff. But like I said, if you wanted to add a YouTube link, we're adding an external link block to be able to do all that cool stuff.
Cool.
And then, you add quizzes, you do whatever you want in here. And then this is basically a piece of content that is custom made. So I have my own settings. I can make a hero image for it, all this cool stuff. And then I can use this later on when I show you how the assignments work on how to kind of launch this side by side with the Curricula originals, either as part of a training program, security awareness program, an employee onboarding program, however you want to design and deliver it, all available. So let's go back to Sandbox. So the Sandbox lets you play around with all this stuff. So I'm going to go show you at a high level. This is just where you go mess things up, basically. And then once you're ready to say, I like this, I think Curricula is cool, I want to start giving this to my accounts, there's a couple ways to do that. And what we found, at least with talking with hundreds of MSPs about this problem, they're embarrassed to deliver security awareness to their sub accounts or their customers because their customers hate it. And respectfully so. Like, I would hate boring training too. So would the MSP, right? We can't lie about this. So we're trying to make that conversation a little bit easier and give MSPs a better strategy on how to actually deliver and onboard training programs to their customers. It's one of the biggest struggles we see, right? They try to sell it. Their customer says no because they hate training. When you hear the word training, you think it's stupid, think it's a waste of time, rightfully so. So the way that we battle that is on our website. If you just go visit the channel partner page, you'll see a little pop-up for our Curricula's Guide to the Security Awareness Training Universe. And it's essentially a whole strategy on how to build a strategy for you on implementing security awareness to your customers. And a couple ways that we figure out how to do this. One is Curricula is unique in the way that we actually have a free plan that allows every MSP to give free security awareness training to every one of their sub accounts. Okay. Big statement there, because a lot of MSPs, they're scared because the first thing they have to do is like sell it or figure out a way to like transition it. And the way that we've approached this is that let it sell itself. Don't have that awkward conversation about like trying to sell it. So the strategy guide goes over 3 different core strategies on how to implement a program. 1, you can try to sell it. Good luck, right? Most MSPs fail at that. 2, you can bundle it in, which is the absolute most successful implementation we've seen with all of our channel partners, is they include it as part of their stack and offer.
Right.
Definitely that's the way that we want everyone to go. It's the most successful. But what do you do when you're trying to convince your audience on how to adopt this? Well, the free plan lets you do that. And the free model essentially lets you have an appetizer platter of Curricula for each one of your accounts to let them sample some training, phishing simulations, custom content creator, reports, and everything in between. And the goal behind that is that you're presenting this information to your client to show them and experience the risk with them on an unlimited time frame, right? You don't have like a 2-week trial or something weird like that. It's just like, I'm going to run these episodes. I'm going to sync it up to a directory service. I'm going to pump out this training to you, and then we're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to look at the phishing results of a phishing simulation test, and we're going to talk about that.
Right.
Because once you have the data and then you start getting feelings around what they just went through, the conversations are a lot easier.
What's the end user's experience when they're added to the platform? Are they trained on, are they introduced and kind of quasi trained on the training platform from that, or is there a webinar and video assets and emails and all of this heavy lift that needs to happen for the end users? Now, I know, typically as an MSP, we have a point of contact or the managing partners that we answer to. They can issue us an approval, but then we have, the end users behind them. I've seen a lot of the platforms differ in their approach here. And I'll just be candid with you. My approach with my MSP that I manage and own, our clients, we get the decision makers to buy in, and then it's on us. And so, frankly, our experience is that if we get it okay with the decision maker, we can turn the platform on and start using it. And in my opinion, as soon as the end user is enabled, they should be getting whether it's scripted by the platform or something that we can edit and optimize something. Basically the end user should be trained, in my opinion, from the enablement. But what does your platform do?
We'll let you do it any way you want to do it. So,
there you go.
That's the beauty of the content creator, is you could actually create your own. We've seen MSPs do this. They create their own welcome email to the MSP. So they're using this actually as a bigger communication tool to talk to their employees at their customers. And they make a custom episode saying, hey, this is us. This is what you're about to go through. And then when that welcome enrollment goes out, they automatically get enrolled into this welcome to this discussion. Kind of sets the tone. That's one way to do it. Another way to do it is that sometimes the customer themselves wants to make that introduction. Like you said, take the onus off you, and the direct customer does that themselves. And then they want to say some fancy words. So there's a lot of ways that we've seen it implemented. We just try to be super flexible and just work with, here's a few different strategies. Just tell us which one you want to use and we'll help you.
And ultimately that's ideal for sure.
It's just the way I think we've learned over time. Like anytime we design something, there's like 3 or 4 different routes the other way
Sure,
because
definitely,
people just do stuff the way they want to do it, and we can't say no.
definitely.
But let's look at this. So one thing that makes Curricula kind of special, if you compare us to like Know Before or something like that, is like there's no awkward like deal registration or like sales reps you have to talk to get stuff going. Literally, you just hit create account, type in your sub account's name, pick a plan. So if you just want them on free, let them go on free. If you want to put them on a paid plan, just pick the plan, type in the licenses, hit go. And we're ready. So now what this is going to do is, obviously we'll talk about billing later on, but we'll aggregate all this stuff at the end of the month and send you one invoice for all your activity for everything going on.
Nice.
But let's go into Bryson University, just kind of explore what it looks like setting one of these up. So by default, where we usually see someone either coming from a bad experience from another security awareness partner, or never did this in their lives, we always want to have that initial conversation to talk about strategy, because strategy eats execution all day long. If you just plan, and get your shit together, then it makes things a lot easier when you actually try to implement it. So most of our legwork is spending time actually having a conversation with our partners as if they're actually partners of ours. Surprising to say that, but a lot of partners don't act like that these days. So
Don't get me
here's
started.
where, yeah, so here's where you're going to see the library and really where you're going to get started for the onboarding. So we have a video tour that shows you exactly how to set up the entire platform for your customer in about 15 minutes. So this walks you through the steps, and it really goes into detail on all the different configuration options you have available. But there's a lot of stuff that we do out of the gate that just make it work, right? So the first step that we always see is like, there is not an IT person in this world that would give training to someone without reviewing it first themselves. So we always want to point you in the direction as a new MSP to explore our library. And this is really where you get a feel to see and feel what Curricula is all about and how much of a difference this is compared to other training you've seen. Then we ask you to sync up your learners. So if you're using Microsoft 365, Okta, Google, LDAP, whatever source you want to sync from, we can connect to those. Or if you want to manually type them in or import it with a CSV, that's another option as well. Once you get the learners into the system, then it's as simple as we pre-build a training assignment, which I'll show you in a second here. Basically, an assignment is a bundle of training content on anything you want. So it could be anything from new employee onboarding to how to submit a help desk ticket to your security awareness schedule. You could have tons of different assignments, all with different rules running side by side for different audiences, but lots of flexibility there. And then setting up the phishing simulator. So one thing you're going to see with us is, we'll make you do some whitelisting to make sure you're authorized to send to the domains that you're saying you want to send to. We block all the free accounts because we have to deal with Microsoft and Google and all the spam providers to play nice with all of them. So we are not allowed to send any Gmails. You can go ahead and try to import them. We'll block all those from being sent. We also work heavily with AWS to make sure that our reputation is high and all the spam filters. But one thing that you'll see in the phishing simulator, which we'll cover later, is you'll get to meet our character, Dee. I don't know if on the screen you probably can't see that, but Dee is the one who actually runs the phishing simulator with you. And this is our claim to fame, lights out, complete differentiator on how our phishing simulator works, is that we actually make it fun because we put a character behind it. And when employees get to meet that character, it's a wow moment. It's like, who the hell is this? I just got hacked by a little 5-year-old girl. And it changed. I'm telling you, it sounds crazy. This changes the mindset for so many employees around the world. And we have thousands and thousands of businesses that use us today. And it's just super cool, to hear like, man, when people talk about Dee as if she's a real person, it's funny. Super cool.
That's
but
cool.
Once you set that up, you can build your campaigns for the year, and then you get access to reports and you can play around with the custom content creator, et cetera. So let's walk through a couple of these on how to configure this. So one is we'll walk through step by step. Learners, right? I want to import my learners. I want to get them into the system so I can import with CSVs or connect them to a directory service of choice. That automatically is a one-way street. It soaks up the learners from your directory provider. And then anytime an employee leaves the organization or whatever it may be, it'll automatically deactivate that learner if we don't see them, and then open up a license for you to reuse.
Can I ask? Can we get in the weeds a little bit about that?
Sure.
So, is there any group management or prep or anything that has to happen on the directory side of administration to make the users eligible, or what criteria do you use to determine an eligible user?
Yes, let's go into, it's under learners. Let's go into our group. So the group, there's two different sections. There's syncing to pull learners in, and there's authentication to authenticate people in the moment. Surprising enough, the reason we segmented these is tons of customers will sync with like Google, but then they'll SSO with Okta.
Okay.
So we segment those on purpose. But as far as how this works, so management type here. So we're looking at these different options. Obviously we have a whole bunch of help desk articles that walk you through this.
Sure.
And then you have a ton of attributes of like how you want to sync it. So syncable attributes, whether you want to do some special configurations to like configure it. Every business is different. Every directory is, for the most part, completely messy.
Right.
So we kind of understand that, but it's kind of a case by case. So if your directory is a complete nightmare, we're just going to pull it in, and then you can go in here and change some configurations. You can turn off certain settings, and then have that sync the way you want it to for the future.
Okay. And then last question on the user. I saw an interesting feature in one of your competitors where they can sleep a learner. Do you have any sort of temporary, Susie's out on maternity leave for 6 months? Do you have a mechanism to sleep her in the system for a period of time so she's not held accountable to the learning, or is there an accountability model in the platform?
Yep. So you just change your status, just inactive. So if there's someone that's just like, hey, they cannot participate in anything, you turn them inactive, and the assignment engine will look at that a different way.
Okay. Good enough.
So learners, and then it does departments and tags, and you could do like one-to-many ratios of stuff to organize. So all this is good for reporting. So once we get our learners in, that's kind of the hard part, right? Once we're past that, it's just set up the training and the phishing.
Excellent.
So let's go over to assignments. So assignments is what we call our training buckets, if you think of it that way. And you can put buckets for different things, everything from new hire onboarding to compliance training to, like I mentioned, how to submit a help desk ticket. If you made custom content, you'll have that available once you're making a training assignment. So let's go look at new hire onboarding. So new hire onboarding, let's say I want to get everyone to go through this, and I want them to watch a couple episodes, go through the motions here. Well, as they're going through it, you're going to get a couple scorecards. You're going to get the executive summary scorecard. So I'll see participation, completion rates as the company's pursuing. I'll also get a very detailed compliance table that'll populate down here, so I can export that to a CSV for auditors, etc. Once I'm in here, that's kind of how I'm looking at the dashboard from a management point of view. But content, this is the part that we've heard a lot of struggles from MSPs of like, I don't know what content to give. And then we've heard a lot of MSPs like, you don't tell me what content to put in, I'm going to put it in there. And then we hear ones that say, I don't know, every day is different on how they talk. So one of the things that Curricula is working on based off all this feedback is kind of this like autopilot mode where we are experts at this. We do this all day long. We do nothing else but make security awareness training. So we are the experts. You should lean on us for that. And we kind of, we realize that this is a frustrating moment, even though it takes 2 minutes to set up. It's frustrating, right? No one wants to do this. So we're going to have
definitely a manual and an auto. A manual and auto definitely satisfies, I think, probably the whole pool. I mean, I could see, we're an MSP for sure, and in our opinion, the information is relatively finite. I mean, once you're teaching about all of these things that we all are talking about, multi-factor, authentic, account security and email triaging and that sort of thing. The auto is beneficial because it's like, okay, you take your metrics and your data and you curate the learning experience. But for the team that says, no, we'll manage that, the manual I could see is needed too.
Yep. So we got a couple of those getting built, and it's just stuff to make it a little bit easier. So we don't have to So an MSP doesn't have to kind of click through some things. So anyway, on each one of these pieces of content, you can customize each piece. So I can configure custom passing scores per piece of content within an assignment. I can choose unlock dates. I could add policy links. I could add security contact info. All this stuff injects into each episode at a very modular pace. So lots of flexibility there to build your content schedule. And then anytime I want to add content, I just hit add content, and I can drop in anything from either the Curricula originals or my custom content. So like a product tour or sales training. So you could use this however you want, hit go, and then this drops this right into the dashboard itself.
What's the delivery schedule? And I don't mean to get ahead of us of the content. Is that managed? Is that a manual configuration, or does your platform manage that, or is it a little bit of both, or either?
Little both. You could do whatever you want. So once you go into here, you could say, when do I want this to unlock? So the assignment, the bucket as a whole, might be for this entire calendar year, but the training contents within it, again, we just made it super flexible. So you could say, I only want this to be shown during certain months, or I only want to launch an episode every month, which is what we recommend. So you could actually tailor this to unlock on certain days throughout the year, depending on how you want to configure your setup.
Right.
Again, tons of flexibility, but for the automation of all this, we're just going to be adding in a way that just says, do it every month for me.
Right. And right, because so the platform, the user prompted like, hey, here's this week's training, or here's this month's training via email, or once they're enabled, they have to elect to go to the platform's website to do the training? What's the prompt? What's the call to action for the end user?
Many ways. So we understand we don't want to send emails with links to click when they're unsolicited. So we're very conscious about that. Anyone can always go to our platform, mycurricula.com. That's where you go. That's home base. That's Safe Street. And we have a bunch of different authentication models. So you can do an access code system where it's an access code email and then a learner verification into that. We have SSO, so they can go to their Okta or SSO tile and click on the Curricula app and authenticate that way. We also send email reminders via this system that automatically sends these out. We also sync up with Slack native integrations. So if you have anyone that's using Slack, we can send these on a schedule right to their Slack through a DM.
Nice.
And then these are all the configurations. So out of the box, we just turn these on: enrollment notifications, assignment completions, contents unlocked, reminders. So you could custom message all of these things, turn these puppies on, pick a day and a time, and then the platform will automatically chase down those that did not complete their required training in their assignments and ask them to go do so.
Cool.
So super self-serve. And then just the last piece is on the learner configuration here. There we go. So learner configuration, this is the enrollment rules. So by default, we set it for all learners in the platform and automatic enrollment. So once you're added to the platform, you automatically get enrolled in this assignment. Again, back to flexibility. I don't want that. I want to just do the, legal department. So you could turn off automatic enrollment or keep it on, choose a custom segment with your departments, tags, whatever you want. And then the platform will go find those people as they get synced into the platform and automatically enroll them into this specific assignment. And then that's it. So that is, building a training schedule. Again, it takes a couple minutes to do, but we're going to build some automation. You hit launch, and then this guy is good to go for however long I set the assignment for.
Excellent.
And then next piece is the phishing simulator. So again, this is Dee Dee, right? This is the 5-year-old little villain. I hate her, but I love her kind of mentality. You'll see her. Yeah, you'll see her in episodes, right? So we built this persona of just this really angry little girl that is a little girl, but always wants just little girl things. She wants ice cream. She wants tickets to concerts and stuff. And she hacks anyone in her way to do that. So you get to feel and see what she's all about. And then the moment you get to meet her in real life is just super crazy. It's just a very eye-opening, shocking, jarring situation. But this is what makes our simulator actually build synergy amongst employees because they get to know Dee Dee. If they get caught in a simulation, they see a big video and she like stamps you on the wall of phishing victims in her little dungeon. And it's just super fun. And it's a way to kind of lighthearted this whole thing, but also show like, hey, you did this in a safe environment and you're going to learn how to beat Dee Dee and her hacker friends in the future.
To any viewers of this video recording, let us know in the comments below if you've been a victim of Dee Dee in the past. I'd like to hear about that.
We'll get emails all the time, like Slack message and text message, and I'll get people call me just telling me stories on how they've like utilized Dee Dee in their company. And there's fan fiction about her, just all kinds of fun things.
That's brilliant.
So in here, you'll have the simulator, right? It works. It sends emails out, it tracks them, etc. Custom scenarios, so you can build your own custom phishing scenarios, just like we saw in the content creator.
Right.
So you do not need to have a weird ass WYSIWYG editor where you're going to totally botch it when you're trying to make this. We try to make this super efficient block building, so you can just go in and build a phishing scenario in a couple minutes as a non-techie.
Now, is there for those who are are looking for rapid deployment? Do you have an autopilot, an auto configure, a Curricula curated phishing protocol?
Same thing on the content side. Is like we do it manually right now, and then all we're going to do is just say, hey, do you want us to just do it for you? And you'll hit a button, and it'll just build it.
So that's a forthcoming feature that's on the roadmap.
Correct.
Got it. Okay. And that's
same thing. We were probably naive because our direct customers like, no, I want to go walk through every single config. And it's like, as an MSP, like you just want to lean on the experts and have them do the work for you.
Right. And that's where the value is for sure.
Yep. So we have a whole bunch. And I think one thing you'll notice is like our Curricula originals are really good. Same thing on our originals from a phishing scenario point of view. So we'll do, we have a short code system that essentially allows you to dynamically, just like an email marketing tool, dynamically change attributes for every email that comes in the door. Our new LinkedIn one, man, I don't know if this is even live yet, but a lot of people know Sam Webster in this world now. And this is because we invented her. And like, I ran into some like very large cybersecurity companies that are customers of ours, and I'll see their sales reps at a conference and they're like, Sam Webster, she got me. Like, yep. It's like we invented that persona, but essentially how this is going to work is this will dynamically change names, subtitles, and images for every single employee that receives this.
Wow.
On the fly for you. And that's using the power of short codes. What's awesome about this is the short code system is available in the custom content creator. So if you want to get weird with it and start making like really cool stuff, you could do all this cool stuff inside of here.
That's very cool.
But you know, there's some other cool ones. Like let me let's go back.
And let me ask, how often do you does Curricula add new phishing scenarios?
We're always adding them. We get requests from customers. We'll add them. If it's something that can benefit the community, we'll make it available for everyone. But if someone's like, man, could you guys just make a really awesome like a Bamboo HR one, then we'll just go in and just make that.
Nice.
But yeah, some of the cool ones, like this one's kind of interesting. It'll do like your company's name to be acquired, and then it'll come from like Huffington Post and like add stuff into the URL.
Oh,
so
wow.
That's kind of a cool one, but like I mean, the ones that I really like are, the Google has a pretty solid one. Meeting invite. So this one will dynamically change the coworker meeting invite. So it'll look like it's coming from Google. It'll talk about like decision-making call, and it'll actually pull from the database of your coworkers in that company. And everyone receives a different one. So this one's decision-making call from Rowena. And then if I do it again, this is an information sharing call from surprisingly Rowena, but different people that are showing up. And the goal here is like, we do these short codes because that's what you need to kind of make it feel alive a little bit.
Sure.
And if you just hard code these things in, it's just going to not be as effective.
For sure.
And surprising enough, like the most effective scenarios are the blank, like this one, like you got a file from the scanner, like plain text ones kill it. It's really weird, but that's what it works. So once you're in here, you can pick a whole bunch of scenarios, and then I can go in and customize a scenario. So by default, we use the settings, but if you do, I want to use custom settings, you can change the sender name, you can change the sender email, some of the domains that it comes from. You can change the subject line, you can change the bait links. All this cool stuff can be customized right out of the box for every one of these scenarios without customizing the template itself.
Very cool.
And then once I pick that, I choose, just like we saw before, I choose my audience. Do I want to send it to everyone, or do I want to go down a custom segment, like a department or a group or a learner tag or something like that?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then,
So it's pretty obvious. Forgive me for saying that the position from where you come from is definitely in that kind of direct model, in-house curated and managed, all that customization. I can definitely see that. And it's funny, I mean, you're obviously targeting the MSP space as well now, and I'm looking at this, and I'll be candid with you, and I'm like, yeah, we're no MSP, well, maybe some MSPs out there have some resource in-house that just is assigned to curate and manage these things. But I would venture to say most MSPs under 50 in-house resources, maybe less, really are looking forward to probably that curricula curated.
Yep, you're right. And you're right. It's the larger ones, they have a full-time person that customizes every single thing for every single sub account. But for a smaller MSP, they just want to have a button get hit. And that's, it's really not that difficult. It's just seeing what you're seeing today. It's just like, we'll build it for you in a couple button clicks.
So can you speak to the with the management paradigm or model for the multi-tenants? So we're an MS, and if I'm skipping ahead, just let me know.
No, that's it. So once we set up a campaign, we can give it a name. We can also enable or disable recovery training. So this is when you get to meet DD or blind test mode. So this will just look like a 404 error, good for baseline testing. We hit launch, and then basically it goes to DD's little machine. And then DD is kind of your partner in crime. So when she'll send you an email and saying, hey, I'm about to launch this one, stay tuned. And then once someone clicks on the first email, she'll be like, hey, I got someone. Go into your dashboard to go check it out. Employees can also report DD. So they can forward to a reporting mailbox, which we have an API sync to. And then once they report DD will actually write back to the employee saying like, damn, you got me, like, nice job. And I'm telling you, it sounds crazy, but it's like, this is the sole reason why employees actually care about this, is because we're making them care by making it fun.
So the report model for you is not the MSP or the organization has to install a custom Outlook button or anything like that.
Nope. That we think that's legacy. That's like 10 years ago, these buttons, but you could do buttons. You could like add us as a mailbox endpoint to your button.
Right.
So basically it's like reporting at fish.mycurricula.com. You can make like a group distro to point to us. All we need to do is just let us know when someone reports it to that mailbox, like phishing at yourmsp.com or yourcompany.com. And once we're notified, we can grab all that data. We'll capture that inside the app and reward the learner, close their attempt out, and then display that on the dashboard as a reported email.
Got it.
Yep.
So how do we, sorry, go ahead.
No, back to the multi-tenant approach. Is that where you wanted to go next?
Yeah, I mean, as an MSP, that's where I come from. Like, how do I have a high level view of all of my accounts and their general health and disposition, and then when we drill into an individual account that we support, is there a dashboard that reports engagement and successes and failures and anything that we need to make contact with either the end user or our point of contact at the organization?
Yep. So a couple things you can do. So on each one of these sub accounts, everyone's different, right? You might have one organization that's awesome, one that needs a lot of help, and then specifically who needs help and what help.
Right.
And that answer isn't just like stuff more training in their face,
right?
Which is what most people just immediately go to.
No,
it means have a real conversation.
For us, it would be the level one would call Susie, office worker at client XYZ, and say, "Hey, Susie, it looks like and again, your data points are not taking the trainings or missing the trainings or successful fishes, things like that?
Yep. So there's a couple different ways to look at this. Let me see if I can pull reports. So there's a reporting like recipe builder. So we're thinking of pulling this up to the higher level, like into the MSP dashboard. So you can kind of pull some data across all your accounts. The way we look at this is kind of like a recipe builder. Like you tell us what you want to see, right? Every single MSP is different. So some of them want to do something very specific here, specific with a combination of the two. There is no general dashboard on the MSP side that shows like a temperature on everyone other than the licenses and the usage at the high
Okay.
level. So that's one that we're looking at that. We're also looking at the like every month or whatever, you want to kind of show your customers like, what am I doing for you?
Yeah, I mean,
Send
if
an
I can
automated
offer
report.
unsolicited advice, right, or feedback, right, unsolicited feedback, the primary tool of the MSP is their RMM. You know what that is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's that, I hate the term, single pane of glass, a 30,000-foot view, right? That's where the MSP is living, right? So the assigned resource at the MSP logs into the dashboard and wants to see stoplight gauges or thermometer gauges or a table of everybody and some assessment metric of, do we need to get involved or not? What are the
Yep.
action items?
And each one has that. And that's where I think we're going to aggregate a lot of this data on the individual level and pull it up to the larger glance. Just like dashboards are cool, but it's like, all right, then what? There's an action that needs to happen.
For sure.
And I think
For sure.
that's the part that we've kind of been really focused with, at least our customers on this. And what we're trying to replicate is, how did Curricula do this for direct customers? And then how do we mimic this model down to MSPs to give to their customers?
Right. For sure.
So still a lot more work to do, but this is kind of that dashboard glance of like how the org is doing at a high level. And then you can see how each employee is doing at a high level from completion percentages.
Yeah.
Then you can drill into them and see like their scorecard.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you just aggregated that in some those metrics and then put that in a table on a main dashboard with a couple, I don't know. I won't micromanage, but you get the idea.
Yeah. It's pulling all that data, but here's the one thing that we want to do is like every one of these, right, needs to get communicated to probably every month, every quarter for a quarterly business review or whatever you're going to do as a cadence.
Right.
There's an opportunity here to also say like send this to me as the MSP or send a report directly to my customer as me automatically.
Well, one of the things that I've been kind of harping on, and again, this is more unsolicited feedback, but one thing that I was surprised to see across that was a general lacking on almost all of the platforms, if not all of the platforms. There was no vehicle within the platform to notify the MSP. So we have a ticket incoming email, right? Or we have an email address that anything emails any email that goes to that address creates a ticket, and we can parse that email to the client and things like that. But a lot of these platforms don't say like, again, whatever the metric is, what the management metric, whether it's training participation or some percentage of training participation or fish, active fish or percentage of active fish. The MSP needs those action items so that we know when to get involved, and we need those in real time, right? So we can mitigate as soon as possible. And then we need point in time review. So like, if we had some button next to each one that says, create a ticket, review a ticket, for example, send us each client summary or something, then the assigned resource can do a client level review. I spoke on that.
What is that situation again? What is the to security awareness training again with a ticket?
Say that again.
What's the relationship? You get a ticket, and then what happens with the security awareness platform?
So in my mind, we do a point in time review. So like if we're reviewing an individual client, we would like to like generate the report for the client, have that come into our ticketing email as a PDF, for example. It then launches the process of reviewing the SAP platform for the client and has the high level summary review, which is hopefully presentable to the client, right? So we're going to then come in, that ticket is the action item for the assigned resource at the MSP that is going to go into the platform, look at the client's account, and just doing a review of it, and then make contact with the client and say, here's how you're doing, here's your monthly, or here's your report, and here's my opinion on that, and here's my value addition to us managing this platform for you, which is Susie's not participating, or these resources have not been participating, and hey, by the way, these 3 resources are killing it. So I mean, that's the value that we bring as MSPs to our clients. They don't want to manage the platform, they don't want to know anything, they want like summary, 5 sentences, like who's failing, who do we need to hound, or who do we need to reprimand, or who do we have to inspire to participate, whatever. And so the way that I imagine that is, it would be nice if we could schedule monthly reports, or schedule that summary report. So the MSP may say like, well, we want to review this weekly, or we want to review it monthly, or we want to review it quarterly, for example, right? So we can schedule that report to come inbound to us. That creates that ticket with that report and prompts our action for that review. So that's the high level review. But then there's the point in time action items, which, again, I don't know what your exact data points are. Again, I assume it's, somebody missed an assignment, or there's some thresholds of participation and phishing that if you were to report that in point in time to us, that we can route inbound. So-and-so is phished, or some percentage of phish, or so-and-so missed their training. Then the level 1 gets the ticket and calls Susie office worker and says, hey, are you having problem with your training? Is Dee Dee, bagging you today or something? Or I saw you got bagged by Dee Dee on the phishing. Do you need any additional context or support in that material? I mean, that's the nature of the MSP. And some MSPs are maybe rolling their eyes and saying, hell no, but this MSP.
That's what I was about to say. I was like, that sounds awesome. And I think you could actually do that here with the custom reporting. Grab any data that you would want to trigger, like, why should I even open a ticket and have a convo? So you can actually customize that recipe for yourself here. Of I want only people that clicked, only people that did this, only people that got whatever compromise in this specific campaign for this department, whatever the rules you want to set. Nice. And then instead of downloading this, essentially have this get fired off when the trigger meets.
Perfect. In an email to an address that you specify.
To you guys, because you guys are the ones that handle that. Awesome. I like that. Most of the people we've talked to don't want to do any of this. They just want a report delivered directly to their customer. So we're also going to be adding in something that at this level, right? Once you set up a sub account, you'll have where do you want us to send summary reports to your customers? And that'll be sent directly to your customer with the report of the activity you're doing for them as an MSP about their training program.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's like the active or passive model, or the manual and automatic. Like I'm a member in a lot of peer groups, IT business owner peer groups and things, and we definitely march to a different drum beat than a lot of our contemporaries. I think the way that I approach this is, our clients, this MSP, our MSP has total buy-in on the training platform, right? We used to provide training in the old way that, as you described, for many, 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 many years. And now we see the value of the training platform to automate and uniformly administer training that's much needed. But we just need those management mechanisms, you know what I mean? So that way our Susie office workers getting a call from a level 1 at EVERNET saying like, hey, you missed last week's training. That's how you continue to show buy-in to the client, in my opinion, that they're invested with us in this, that's a big piece of the MSP. If you're just real passive and just keep flipping reports to the client, that's a client that will soon not be a client of the MSP, or just one day when they look at the bill, be like, why are we paying for this platform? Why is this bundled in? We don't get any value out of this, So I'm telling you that if you do this, if you build this into your platforms, then we can continue to reinforce the value of the platform. We're not selling ketchup popsicles here. We believe in these platforms, but these tools allow us to continue to stay invested with the client in their success. In my opinion.
And it's flexibility, right? You're going to have a lot of people like you. You're going to have a lot of people that need to start somewhere.
Right.
I need to start. And I think it's what goes into that report that actually makes it useful, right? No one wants to read just numbers. Like no one cares about any of this stuff. They want to
Right.
see what outcomes is this changing and how are you helping create that outcome?
And a lot of the time, listen, I always tell everybody, like, you can get IT services from anywhere, right? The differentiation is always the relationship. It's always the relationship.
Yep.
So, if we have a platform like Curricula, we're training these people, because we're describing to our clients, for example, that security awareness training is now the human antivirus for the security picture of an organization. And we are saying that having antivirus and firewalls is no longer the complete security profile that an organization must have in order to feel like they are doing the reasonable things to maintain cybersecurity. Does that make sense?
It's a way better analogy than when I've heard this so many times. People say like the human firewall. I think that's the most ridiculous thing. Firewalls have rules and they work or they don't work. Like they're rigid.
Well, I guess
Humans are not like that.
That imagery, I guess, is maybe like, the wall in which things hit against. I've heard that too. So
the antivirus is a good way to pitch it though. Human antivirus, because just like I said before, is like if you bought antivirus, signatures change, viruses come out, 0 days come out all the time. It's like if your antivirus doesn't work, if people aren't changing, then it's like you got to update your antivirus or get a different one.
Plus, a firewall is more like, the imagery in my head, a firewall is more like bugs in a windshield. It's like a splat, whereas an antivirus actually has to touch and manipulate the thing that they, you have to receive the email in order to like scan it. You know what I mean? You have to, you have to touch or receive the file in order for the antivirus to scan it, to triage it. So the training, the humans, we're receiving emails, we're receiving phone calls, we're taking, the receptionist taking, hopefully delivery guys dressed as delivery guys and with boxes in their hand coming in through the front door wanting access to the back office. You know what I mean? Like there's, so that's more like, there's more, the antivirus piece to me is more tangible than the firewall is more like bugs on a windshield,
Oh yeah. No, I like it. I like that approach. And it's, I think really what it is at the end of the day, it's like you need those people to make decisions when you're not looking at them.
For sure.
And great, remarkable security awareness programs are designed to do that. Poor ones and poor platforms are designed to basically check the box to get you through the motions. At the end of the day, if you bought antivirus that doesn't stop any viruses, what's the outcome? What's the effectiveness of any of that? Like, I got great margin on it. Great. It's like, well, then you're going to lose the whole customer because they got hacked and they went bankrupt because of it.
Yeah,
exactly. You gave them a crappy product. It's like, I mean, I'd rather have the best possible answer for every product I give, regardless of margin, because margins are, that makes sense, right? You need to make money off of this, but it's also a defensive play. It's helping you not waste time on cleanups because employees are actually actively engaged in making better security decisions.
And just to reinforce my original comment about the management mechanisms, like that's what continues to show the value to the client. Because they talk at lunch. Susie and Dan, office workers, tell the office manager like, "Oh, EVERNET called me on Monday," and Dan's like, "Oh, they called me last week," and the office manager's gonna be like, "Why did they call you? What was the issue?" And it's like, "Oh, Debbie Dee bagged us, or I didn't get the training email. I went to my junk folder, and they saw that I missed it, and they helped me get back on track." And then that that experience is that kind of the ecosystem of value that we bring our clients. So our platforms and tools need to help support those action items for us. So we're done with the we're done with the review, right? Or the demonstration, would you say? I got a couple more questions to take us out if you're good.
Yeah. The last things you'll see is, like I said, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff coming. We actually have an API so you'll see more tabs coming up here. Like you'll have your library, so you can create content and push that down. And then there's also an API available. So if you are savvy enough to actually have technical knowledge of using an API, it's awesome. You can pull data in and utilize that. We partner with a lot of compliance automation companies so far, and insurance providers, to make sure that Curricula is not only being utilized, but we're able to send that data back to these compliance tools. So when you get audited, it's not a scramble.
Nice. I actually like to see that. that you have an API, because we're API gurus over here. We have data flying all
Awesome.
over the place between our platforms. You do, one of the last questions I ask, in fact, the last question I do ask, and you kind of answered it, is what's on the roadmap, what's to come, any specific features. You did talk about some of the more kind of automated setups and things of the training and the fishing.
Yeah, it's a lot on that, right? I think they're at the end of the day for a channel partner, it's redesigning this dashboard a little bit to be more let Curricula drive the car, and I trust them kind of thing. So you'll be able to kind of get more insights, kind of like you said, better insights of what's going on with your accounts at a high level, all those little details along the way. If you're an API partner, you'll have API access and then a library to be able to go build content and then push that down. That's kind of the next wave, at least for the channel side of the product. And then on a lot of these things can kind of trickle down to other areas. So we're doing some work on just specific types of content that people want and need that are out there. There's a lot of small businesses that are hearing the word SOC 2 for the first time ever.
Right.
And I personally believe that small businesses that are in the SaaS or software space as a service, they are going to be required to put security in at a very young age, if not forced into it. So lots of things to kind of help guide people through the process. And as the shepherds, as an MSP, as the shepherd to connect the dots there, even yesterday, we were talking to, we partnered with a company called Drata that does compliance automation for SOC 2 and GDPR and ISO 27001. These frameworks are going to be a driving force behind a lot of decisions. And our free offering allows you to get started with all of this stuff and sync between all of these different tools and services as kind of a bigger community. So you'll see a lot more emphasis on compliance being part of the conversation, but not making the entire operation miserable because compliance is.
Do you have a published roadmap or an announcement email blast that you send out every time you do an update, or when will we see the updates to the UI and all that?
Yes. So you'll see anyone that's on our mailing list for all customers get all product updates. But if you sign up at the curricula.com/partners, that'll add you into our queue for any channel partner specific updates that are designed for the dashboard or the partner program itself.
Cool. All right, let me take us out here. So I just like to ask, what is the buying experience? How do you describe the buying experience?
Extremely self-service. So one thing that differentiates Curricula is that we are a small, nimble team, and we try to make this as self-service as possible. So you don't have to have
account managers and no.
We do have support and success and all the things in between, but like we don't have a salesperson trying to slam you to try to buy this. Like, go check out the website, sign up for the free account.
You're not trying to protect your revenue. I had another vendor tell me that they like to protect their revenue.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good. I mean, at the end of the day, like if the product doesn't work or doesn't fit your bill, then it's like that. Just don't use it, right? And we understand that our product is one of the best in the market, and it's just not experienced by a lot of people right now. So we pride ourselves on the amount of commitment that goes into ultimately creating more effective outcomes than any other platform out there.
So how much does it cost, and what's the purchase model?
Yep. So pricing is.
Your pricing's on your website?
Yep. So for an MSP, you're buying for $2 per employee per month.
And every vendor who puts their pricing on the website gets a gold star from me.
Oh, nice.
And I shame aggressively all the vendors that don't put their pricing on their websites.
And it's like, I hear the battle of that, of like, yeah, I don't like the pricing, and I do like it. Everyone's different, right? And I think we just got to be transparent about this. It's like, we're not trying to hide anything here. It's like, we're showing you the price because this is what you are buying into it for. And then if your customer winds up seeing this too, they understand that you're providing a service, right? Exactly. Otherwise, like, then what are you there for? You're just a middleman.
I agree. I agree with you completely.
So pricing's right here. Most MSPs, you just need the professional plan. And we're actually thinking of this new model where you'll get like a bunch of cool features from the enterprise plan in the pro plan. No license minimums. You just sign up, add whatever licenses you want. I think you can actually start with one.
That's your second gold star. So no minimum buy, no monthly minimum buy.
Yeah, no minimum buy. You just start with one monthly billing. So you just get billed, no contract. So it's just billed per month. sign up, put in a credit card, and then we aggregate all of your sub account details. So whether they're on the free accounts, we obviously don't charge you for those, but if you're on a paid account, we'll add all those up. And then depending on how many licenses you're managing, you fall into one of these program tiers. So if you're a Weasley tier, you're managing less than 500 total licenses, 20% discount is applied to all those licenses.
Nice.
As you grow, you get larger discounts along the way.
And that makes sense. Congratulations. You're not hostile to your customer relationship, it looks like.
We're trying, and a big part of it is because of our core values. Where AppRiver and our private equity group is like driven on this model of playing nice with both sides, right? Direct and channel, and really where we have a ton of automation behind the scenes that's looking at our application, making decisions, segmenting off all of our sub accounts that are managed by channel partners, having conversations here, and we take that very seriously because some of the other bigger players in the space took it seriously until they didn't. And then now they're swooping deals out from underneath the MSPs and trying to go direct with them. And I don't know, that's just a great way to kill your brand and business. So,
and I troll hard all of the software vendors out there that do long-term commitments and minimum monthly buys. And it's shameful in my opinion, in my serious opinion. I think software as a service, the benefit is, as you need more, let it scale up. As your business needs less, let it scale down. It's software. We don't need a lock-in. I literally had a vendor in the space say, well, we have to protect our revenue. And I'm like, well, that speaks volumes as to what position you come to the relationship at. Quite frankly, it's unnecessary because, you can imagine the MSP maybe drops a client, and that could be 5 seats, it could be 10 seats, 100 seats, and that vendor wants them to continue to hold the bag. And then there's, I won't shame this guy too much. He's a very lovely guy. If you know who I'm talking about, I appreciate you very much, but I don't appreciate your business practice. Software as a service should just be able to add and drop as the business needs. I mean, that's the benefit of it.
Probably a poor explanation of protecting revenue. I think it's actually like protecting the business model for them. It's like you have to staff resources in order to support X amount of growth. And I think when you do that at scale with hundreds of thousands of licenses, billing gets super complex. So on our direct side, we actually do have annual commitments. So
you do?
Anyone who's buying direct, you have to do a year commitment, because here's what happens, at least in the training space. Someone signs up, they pump out training in one day, and then they cancel their account. It's like, so as an MSP, that would be like signing a customer up and you give them 1 day of service and then you see ya.
But was there any lift on your part? I mean, is it self-provisioning? I mean, if there's no overhead on your side, it's just bits and bytes floating around on your server for a period of time. Is there any real material cost to you in that context?
The cost is just the cost of staying in business. I think that's really the bigger one, is that if we were just providing, let's say, a once a year annual training, then we don't really have a business, right? People sign up and use it as fast as they can and get rid of it. This is exactly why we made Curricula free.
In a weird way, though.
Plan.
I hear what you're saying, but Microsoft famously let Windows get pirated for decades, and there's a science that that's one of the reasons why was so prolific. It's almost like those accounts that would come in for the day and try, in my opinion, and I think you'd probably agree, to try to extract some value out of your platform for a day or a week or something, and then discontinue the service. They weren't really your customer anyway. They're not getting it. They're not really understanding the value of the platform. So why not let them just be salespeople for you?
So that's exactly why we made the free plan. Is like, for all those people that are just tire kickers or just want to do once a year training, like, use it for free, up to 1,000 employees for everyone.
Right.
So we actually do that. No limits. You can do whatever you want, but once you commit to actually building a security awareness program, no one is successful if you just launch this thing for 1 month.
Right.
It just does not happen. So we've kind of, if you think it's just bits and bytes and just this and that, there's also a ton of effort that goes into supporting those accounts throughout the year. So we have a CS team that's checking in. There's artists that are designing stuff. There's engineering teams. There's security that's looking at these accounts. So like, in order to predict that flow, ups and downs and monthly billings and stuff, is just like, We could work with MSPs on that, but on our direct side, it's annual commitments.
Okay. All right.
But MSPs don't have a commitment. They could do whatever they want. They can upgrade, downgrade, and they could realize how clunky it gets very quickly if you try to move the needle every single month up and down.
Yeah, exactly. All right. So that's wonderful. I'm going to take us out, Nick. We have Nick Santora from Curricula, a security and awareness training platform. Nick, thank you so much for joining me today and giving us a presentation of your product. I hope that you come back and do another video with me in the future anytime you want. I'll send an email monthly asking you to come back if you haven't in a while. And I hope you do come back and show us what's new on the platform periodically.
Yeah, some of the fancy new updates later on this
year. Yeah. If you haven't already, give us a like on the video. It really helps. And leave a comment if you think I talked too much or if we missed anything. This is EVERNET Reviews, where we review products and services that we think we see our clients use or we think our clients could value. And that is it. I do have a little disclaimer I like to say at the end of the video, so just bear with me. EVERNET is an independent business and IT services and consulting company and does not offer any warranty or guarantee of the products or services discussed today. Any relationships formed by and between EVERNET and its clients are wholly separate from any formed with our guests or their representative companies. And that is it. Oh, and if you have a product or service that you want to spotlight here on EVERNET Reviews, go to evernet.tv, and there is a pod guest survey intake that will ask about your product and service and then give you a scheduling link to book your show. I am Eric Bjorndorf, EVERNET CEO, and that's a wrap. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, Eric, for having me.